and welcome to Angling For You. And today you join me at the fantastic, renowned Messingham sands. And today you join me fishing the bomb. And it's a real simple setup which we'll go through with an 8mm pellet. So we're pinging 8mm pellets at around sort of 20 metres, and we're fishing an 8mm on a band. Hopefully get this fish in, and we'll talk you a little bit through the setup and how to approach this. This Tyson rod's lovely for this kind of fishing. Now obviously I'm chucking shorter than I would normally with this rod, but it's got a lovely through action and it gives me the opportunity to go a little bit further out if needs be. And a lovely fish, hard fighting fish. And I set this drag not ridiculously soft, but as you can hear, it's just gently ticking away. You know, the hard fighting fish, these carp, and last thing you want to do is lose it under rod tip. So I would say, you know, unless you're really snaggy, do have your drag on and allow these fish to run, because when they're under the rod tip, this is the time when a lot of people lose the fish. And obviously this is a soft rod as well, which helps absorb. And this fish is probably around a 3 pound mark, I'd say, something like that. Rod's absorbing these runs beautifully. Nice common, so that's why it's fighting so hard. Always fight harder, I think, common carp. Still not ready for the net though. There we go, and he's in. So when you've done that, trap your net, give yourself a little pull out of line, and when you get, a lot of people, you can put it on your rest, but if you don't want to just sit it underneath your butt out of the way, you can either click the bail arm off or use the back wind up perfectly in the corner of the mouth. Not the most prettiest of faces, but a nice fish all the same. And I feel there's going to be plenty more of those where that came from. Let's get him back in and we'll show you what we're doing. So before I get the rig out and show you the rig, I'm just going to go a little bit through how we're feeding. Now what I'm going to do is just hook this onto here so we can come back to that in a second. Now feeding wise, it's fishery owned pellets. I've got 8mm pellets there, and what I'm looking to do is have an area in front of me that's around sort of 18 to 20 metres. You could go further if you wanted to, but I use 8mm pellets for this, and the fish, you know, 8mm pellets, nothing to even a 2 pound carp. So, you know, it becomes a real standout bait, but it's also really good for casting that extra little bit of distance. I'm just going to move this out of the way, and we'll bring the sort of rig closer so we can see it, and then it'll be easier for me to go through. Just sort that out first. So what are we fishing with? So we've got obviously the 11-foot Tyson rod, and we've got 8 pound M-Tech MIDI line and an Inertia 3000 reel. Now the rig itself it couldn't be more simple. So we've got a couple of float stops, and that allows the feeder link swivel to slide up and down the line. I'll go get the packet so you can have a look, just in case it helps you out. We've got a little Guru bomb, 30 gram bomb. You could go less than that if you wanted, it's not a problem. And then we've got a quick change swivel, Preston quick change swivel there, with around sort of a foot and a foot and a half, maybe 18 sort of 20 inches of 020, and that's Gen Pro line, and we've got that to a size 14 KKMB barbless and a bait band, and we've just given us a little bit of space to hook that pellet on. Now what I'll do is I'll just drop the rod down for 1 second, and I'll bring up the feeder link and the swivel so you can have a look. Just so, in regards to the hook link, this is what I'm using, quick change swivels, and that allows me to get the hook links on and off really quickly. And then feeder link swivels are the ones that we're using to attach the running bomb. I can't wait enough, so let's get back on and see if we can have another. I'm sure we're going to have quite a productive day today. So bomb is something that I really enjoy fishing. It's a nice method. I do like to catch on the rod anyway, but it's a productive method if fished correctly, and it's also allows you to sort of change your hook baits around, use standout baits, and sort of really search venues in regards to undulations and areas around the pond, because you're not putting a high feed of bait in, and it can be really sort of deadly. Now, hook links, obviously with that quick change feeder link, allows me to change around if I feel that I want to feed pellets and fish corn. You know, some venues, especially in winter, you popped up bread and things like that, and there's a load of variation. The thing with bomb fishing is I never have a clip on. I mean, you can have a clip and fish an area, but I like to allow it that, you know, the fish can just swim off. I'm casting around an area. I'm not putting a feeder in where it's you know generically across in one sort of place. So it allows me to feed that area in sort of, you know, 3 foot span, and allow more fish to come in and me to cast around that area, which allows obviously you to just cast by eye rather than be clipped up, which means you don't have to sort of take the clip off or anything like that. And we're starting to swim. These fish are, you know, ravenous, and do feed well, and we need to get sort of somewhat of a better bait and attraction around that area. It's good to note as well that my eye is sat against one of these hooped rests. That's really important, because these fish, you could have your catapult in one hand, like I've got now, and ready to bait up, and these fish can, you know, sort of scream off, and if you haven't got something to stop them, that's when people start losing rods. The other thing with bomb fishing is, especially if it's this time of year, don't be afraid to recast. They do like the sound of the bomb going in, and quite sometimes you can actually catch one pretty much as soon as that bomb hits the water. And actually, before we turned the camera on, I was just sort of casing the area out, and I had a bait, and as soon as it hit the water, the rod was off the rest before I could even settle it. I was literally just setting up the height of my rod rest. Ironically, didn't have the camera on then, but it just proves how sort of dangerous this method can be, and how productive it can be. Big liner there that shows obviously that there's fish around the swim. There we go. We're into another fish. quickly, just like I say there, it's obviously starting to pull. Luckily that wasn't an absolutely savage bite, but you know, just feeding up with the catapult, and you know, she's away again. And I do love this Tyson rod, you know, the action on it, it's fantastic. I mean, it's a sub 60 quid rod, and I bought it sort of to show the range, you know, not always buying the sort of expensive gear, and I'm really impressed with it. Oh, we've just pulled off with that one, which happens, it's not a problem, the bait's still on there, and we can just cast that back out, and that's no fault of mine, that's just how it goes. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more fish, and it won't really matter, but sometimes it just they're so impulsive, we don't get a good rate hold on it. But we'll be fine. It wasn't an absolutely screaming bite that took that, it was sort of a what they call a progressive bite, where it's just ticking. Now that's what we call a proper bite. That was definitely a liner, and that ragged it off the rest. Let's get that back out into that. And we're only casting about 18 metres, and probably a 10-foot rod would be sort of fine for this distance. But I've got this set up for longer distance casting, and it doesn't really matter, as it's still fine to chuck short with a bigger rod. It only gets more cumbersome and difficult if you've got an island or something like that where it's short, and that's when it becomes more of a difficult sort of scenario. But with the feeding, I'm only feeding sort of 2 or 3 pellets, and when I cast out, I'll probably put 2 or 3 pouches over the area where I've done it, and then obviously I'll either have a fish or won't have a fish, and then I'll come back in and throw back out, and again repeat that process. In regards to leaving it, we'll probably leave it around a minute before removing it. You don't want to be certainly at this time of year, don't really want to be leaving it too long. We're obviously mid May now, and it's starting to warm up. In the summer it'll be even less than that, and you know, winter is where you're looking at your sort of 10 minutes, or even until you get a bite amount of time. But you'll be putting in obviously a lot less feed in that time of year. Into another fish now. Had a little bit of a underwater snag, but I think the fish has pulled through it. Out of that, it's just come over the snag now. A weird bite, sort of a slow pull round, but then seemed to get locked up into something, but obviously it's just come through whatever that is. And there is a sunken island out there, so it may that it's just got itself caught on that. But it's coming in nice and slow and steady, so it makes me feel like it's neither not woke up yet or it's a big one, but you never know. Sometimes little ones do come in nice and steady. So what we've actually done is hook somebody else's feeder, and then that feeder is attached to the fish. So that's an interesting scenario. Matt, I've got somebody's feeder and that feeder is attached to a fish. So this is an interesting scenario, guys. So the fish is actually hooked on a boilie that's on somebody else's line, and I've just gained myself a feeder. I thought it was a weird bite, but this is the good thing about this is this fish is no longer going to be tethering this feed around. So we'll just unhook it for you and we'll show you what the scenario is. It's sort of a long mirror, and he's obviously not very happy because he's been hooked into all that scenario for quite a while. So as you can see, all this tangle in it, so let's get him back. It's been through enough trauma dragging that rig round with him, I think. This is still quite a bizarre scenario there, guys. What we've done there is hooked into that line which is attached to that, and it's a bloody big feeder as well. Heavy feeder it's been dragging round. Into another fish now. Another strange bite. Feels like might be a smaller fish this time. I don't know actually. Really weird bite that was. Sort of a jag and a drop off and a jag and a drop off. Hooked on that short line on an 8mm, and I reckon there's a good chance that this one is a smaller one. Just the way it's fighting makes me think it's a little bit smaller. Yeah, just a little bit small, but still a good stamp to catch for a day. There's plenty of these today. And this is where the sort of 4-metre landing net comes in handy. Clip that back wind off and then just bring your fish in. Actually, it's not too dissimilar from the size that we've been catching. Hold him up, like not the prettiest fish in the world, but nice little fish. Let's get him back in. Right guys, so hopefully this video has been helpful to you. I'm going to try and film it a few different methods today, and I just want to go through my bomb setup and how I fish the bomb. There's lots of different variations of it and lots of different setups. This is just one of different types of bomb setups that I use. It works really well, as you can see, and I'm going to be enjoying a really nice day at Messingham Sands. So join us on those Facebook groups at 7 o'clock on Fridays for the live stream, and then 8 o'clock on the Instagram. We're enjoying all that feedback. interaction and comments that you're doing. It's really good. I'm just happy to be back on the bank showing you some new methods and sort of some fishing for once, and now really enjoying it. And obviously we're going to bring as many videos to you as we can, so watch out for those. Keep asking us for videos that you'd like to see and you want to see, and you know, we'll try and achieve as many of those as we can. So as always, like, share, subscribe, put that bell icon on. Thank you very much for watching. Tight lines.